voice be heard.
After a series of crime for in New Providence, it's now Grand Bahama's time to let their voices be heard on the issue of crime and make recommendations for inclusion into the government's anti-crime action plan. Now, I would like to introduce the law enforcement authorities who are here with us tonight. Beginning at my left, we have the Minister for Grand Bahama, the Honorable Michael Darville, Dr. Michael Darville, the Superintendent of Prisons, Her Majesty's Prison, Patrick Wright, Minister of State in the Ministry of National Security, Keith Bell, the Minister of National Security, the Honorable Dr. Bernard Nottage, the Commissioner of Police, Ellison Greenslade, Commodore, Royal Bahamas Defense Force, Roderick Bowe, Controller, the Customs Department, Charles Turner, and the Director General of the National Intelligence Agency, Clifford Scavello. Well, before we give you the rules, I want to let you know that we are on social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and we're on ZNSBahamas.com. The Asante Benabi is going to be assisting us with the feedback from there, and we'll introduce you to her in just a bit. But now for the rules. National security officials want your suggestions primarily tonight. So they will be listening to your suggestions on how to tackle crime, and those suggestions might help them implement their national crime fighting initiative. You will have 2 minutes to get your point across. So I'd like for you to have whatever your thoughts are, have them very clear in your minds, express them very succinctly. There are 2 microphones on each aisle. If you can make yourself up to them orderly, and that will make it a lot easier for the minister and the other authorities here to take in what you have to say and also address them if the need requires. Mainly, we don't want any rude remarks here. So if you feel like you can't hold your tongue on something, you can't express it without being, well, definitely don't be profane, but also disrespectful, perhaps you better not say it. Okay, let's go on. I'd like to introduce the person behind this, the Minister of National Security, the Honorable Dr. Bernard Nottage, who is going to say a few words. Dr. Nottage.
Good evening. Happy New Year. I hope you have a wonderful 2014. If the year 2014 is as good to you as it was to the police of the Northern District, then it's going to be a good year. So I want you, first of all, to acknowledge the good work that has been done in Grand Bahama over the past 12 months by the Royal Bahamas Police Force. Well, we are finally here. We are here to listen to you. They've told us that these listening fora are of little worth, but that is not our experience. And I didn't come alone. I brought with me all of the top persons whose salaries you pay for law enforcement in the Bahamas, with the exception of the Director of Immigration, who could not be here this evening. But you have tonight to listen to you, not only me and my colleagues, Dr. Darville and Mr. Bell, but also the people with whom we entrust the direct responsibility for law enforcement. We are here because it is the job of the Ministry of National Security to protect the citizens, residents, and visitors to our shores. We are here because we care. We must. We are here because crime is here. And we are here because we believe you have ideas that may have a favorable impact on crime in your communities and in the wider Bahamian community. So you can take it from me that if you want to speak about crime anywhere in the Bahamas and make suggestions about crime generally, you may do so. And with your permission, I'll take off my coat because I'm feeling a bit warm. Pass it down, please. They told me it was going to be cold in Grand Bahama tonight. It is going to get cold? It ain't cold outside? Oh, it didn't say inside, eh? Okay. I want you to take a moment and imagine growing up in a neighborhood, playing baseball or basketball or whatever ball as a corner boy, walking to school together. Y'all got any bamboo shack in Freeport? What y'all got, Kentucky, eh? What you got? What is it? Well, whatever y'all got, imagine eating it together. And then, sometime along this trajectory, a dispute breaks out between you and your lifelong friend. Usually, either it can be over drugs, or money, or girls. I'm sure Mr. Wright would tell you, if he took a survey, that 99% of the fellows at Vauxhall are there because of the last one. And then you understand, how could these two guys who went to school together, went to church together, played ball together, went fraternizing together, could turn on each other like that? But that's the kind of Bahamas that we are living in today. These listening fora are designed for you to help us, for you to tell us what you feel would contribute to reducing crime in your community or in the Bahamas at large. Many of you here have been victims of crime, of some sort of crime in the past. And some of you may have members of your family who were so involved. At every forum we've had people in the audience too who have committed crimes and who have come not to confess, but to help us in our quest for crime reduction. Many of them have changed their lives. There's one son of a very good friend of mine who was in Her Majesty's prison for more than 20 years, charged with murder. And he came out, and the night he came to our forum, he told the children of the nation, education, don't do school without it. And we've adopted that as one of our things, because too many of our young men particularly, but also our young women, particularly those who get into difficulties, have either been suspended from school, expelled from school, or dropped out of school before they've had a chance to get a good education and develop a skill. Tonight we must talk. We must discuss the issue of crime until people see the value, well, hopefully, of a human life. Until we understand how to deal with conflicts. Until we understand that we must work for material things that we want to have and not take what is not ours. The other day down here, there was a flat screen television which came into town. Fellows screwed off the back of it. Guess what they found in the back of the television? $31,000. Now, wouldn't you like to buy a TV like that? You pay about $500 for your TV, and you carry home a flat screen TV for $31,000. Young men must remember that if a woman truly loves them or cares about them, she will not ask them to steal so she can get a weave or buy clothing. We must teach our men that the adage, payback For the way back is a waste of lives. Vengeance is still the Lord's, not yours and not mine. We must teach ourselves how to forget about old unresolved conflicts. Husbands and wives must understand that every marriage has its ups and downs. Every relationship has its challenges. A man does not own a woman, even if he's a Bahamian man, and married to her, and got papers, but she's not like a piece of land. Every relationship has its challenges, and a woman must understand that she does not own a man. Now you might ask why I say that. We have something called domestic violence, and every time we talk about people think we're talking about men beating up women. But you know, that ain't all we're talking about. Some women just do men in really to women. There's no need for domestic violence if you feel you can't talk. Just walk. Over the past 2 weeks, the government has hardened its approach to dealing with crime. With the acquisition of additional vehicles, saturation patrols in the inner city communities have been intensified in New Providence. A flying squad has been activated to better monitor prolific criminals, and intelligence gathering capabilities have been enhanced. But we have also to remember that the problem we're having of crime in the Bahamas is really not in the whole of the Bahamas. You all have to remember that your country is an archipelago, from Bimini and Grand Bahama in the north all the way down to Inago and Maywana in the south. And the place where crime is rampant, or as rampant as it is today, and where the fear of crime is greatest, is in New Providence. In addition to the things I've spoken about so far, the firearms unit has been fully resourced, a new firearms unit, and has been extremely successful in retrieving guns from tips provided by the general public. These guns, there are too many guns in our land. Now, I don't know about Grand Bahama, but I presume you all will tell me about it tonight. But there are too many guns in our land. And they are coming in right through our ports. They're being smuggled in, for the most part. They've been brought in on cruise ships, they've been brought in on ships from down south, every which way. How do I know? Because people have told me so. And that's exactly how we're going to fix this crime problem. It's the people who, when they decide that they've had enough of what's going on, they will help us with the intelligence that we need to cause crime to be reduced to an irreducible minimum. In New Providence, we have begun a household survey. And this household survey, which is being carried out by the Urban Renewal segment of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, along with social workers and workers from other disciplines, is designed for us to determine once and for all what is the nature of the households in the Bahamas. We are starting in the area where crime is worst, where murders are highest, where armed robbery is greatest. Those are the constituencies of Bain and Grandstown, which I represent, Angleston, and Centerville, which is represented by the Prime Minister. The traditional over-the-hill communities, where the quality of life is not for everyone as we would wish it to be. But in order to solve this problem, and this is a crime-fighting initiative, what we are seeking to do is to determine the quality of homes, how many people live in homes, what impediments they have, if any, if they have disabilities, what is the education level, what is the income, what is the expenditure from those homes, and so forth and so on. And we are convinced that when we get the entirety of this information, it will inform public policy and help us in our fight against crime. We believe that even though the crime statistics indicate that crime is down 8% compared to last year, the year ended with too many murders. Too many persons lost their lives unnecessarily. And this year began with too many murders. Ladies and gentlemen, you are Bahamians, and so am I. We are a small nation, but we know each other. We must weed out the bad apples amongst us for the good of ourselves, our children, and our nation. We must reform those that are desirous of help, but we must remove persons from amidst us who do not wish to be a part of a peaceful and orderly society. The most important thing I can do tonight is ask for your help, your assistance, and your advice. Not because I don't know what to do, but because if you know what you can do, and if you do it, I have no doubt that we will be able to significantly reduce crime in this year 2014. And when I'm talking to you now, I'm talking to my whole television audience. Whether you're in Inagua or Bimini, whether you're in Baintown or Fox Hill, all of us must become crime fighters. You might not be a law enforcement agent, but you can be an agent who can help the law enforcement officers. If you're prepared to share with us your knowledge, if you have young men in your homes with guns, if you have people who bring home things that you know they didn't work for, we need information. It's called intelligence. You have it. The children, the young adults who are perpetrating most of the crimes are below the age of 25. We're living in a new province now where the fellows who are 23 and 24 and 25 are veterans. And the fellows who are committing some of these heinous crimes are between the ages of 15 and 20. We have 20 young men in Fox Hill Prison who are there accused of murder, 15 years old. And by the way, despite, or maybe because of the good work that's been done in this area over the past year, almost 30% of the inmates of Her Majesty's prison, guess where they're from? Yes, they're from Grand Bahama. So it ain't only New Province that has a problem. You have a problem too. That's why I'm so glad to see so many of you out here tonight, cold as it is. Give yourselves a round of applause. Now what are we going to do? We're going to, with your permission, allow you to come up and speak to us, tell us what your ideas are, etc. As we've held the forum, we haven't really said anything until the end. I don't mind if we change that format a little bit, if it would help us to get more information and help you to understand what we're doing. But in the meantime, I want you to feel free. Come to the microphones when the moderator asks you to. Say what you would wish us to know. I'm going to give him the permission to use his judgment as to whether he should give more than 2 minutes. But please try to help us. Try to work with us so that as many people as possible can have the opportunity. I'm a Bahamian. I believe in you. Because if I don't believe in you, I don't believe in me. I'm a Bahamian because I know from whence we came, and I know what we have achieved as a people. And let me tell you, we can't stop now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Nottage. I would also just like to acknowledge the permanent secretaries that are here. I see Mr. Melvin Seymour, is that Mr. Carl Smith as well, and Mrs. Keju. Right. Now, in a few months, you're going to see on the ZNS network something called shock treatment. Right? It's something that has been thought up in the Ministry of National Security, and the Broadcasting Corporation is working with the Ministry of National Security to ensure that it happens. I'd like for you to just look at the screen and see a little bit of shock treatment.
Today is your opportunity. So let them sit in care from out the urban areas. Dr. Bernard Waters care from out the urban areas.
One line. This line, I think I'm like 5.
Just imagine how the rest look. Real life, real talk. All persons who are working in here have been approved medically, physically to work inside here. So everything you see coming out here is healthy, despite what you may hear. Don't listen to the rumors, these are the facts.
What did you just see, and how did it make you feel as somebody trying to reach young people?
Listen, going in there, seeing all those young men between the age of 15 and 17, and they really break my heart, you know. I mean, just to see these young men castrated, knocked down like animals, that ain't God's plan. You know, I have 3 boys myself, and I don't know if I could take me looking at one of them behind that bar, just to see these young men. I mean, literally hundreds of them behind bars, hopeless, you know, for things they've done, man. I mean, there got to be some way that we could change the system, man.
But you have the Bible to flow?
It just breaks my heart to see all these young men just locked down like animals, man. I wanted the boys to cry in there, but I tried to hold my dad's back, cause you know. But every time I look at one of those young men's face, I see my son, I remember myself, you know. It's just so sad, man.
The young boys who came with you, what impact do you think this will have on them?
This will have a great impact on them. A lot of them on the bridge, you know, there are young men who don't commit crime. Then there are those who went on the bridge to get involved in serious crime. They are the ones like me, but the one who went on that bridge. You know, this program is an awesome program. We need to do this on a regular basis, where we go into schools and we ask the principals and the guidance department to pinpoint those young men who on that bridge. You know, who on that bridge, who constantly getting kicked out of school or constantly being suspended, and we need to do a regular tour like this for them to really see and feel. But one time thing is not going to do. We also need to implement counseling programs to give them that. You know, violence is a communication thing. Violence is communication. A lot of these young men know how to communicate. And you teach them a new way of life, man, you know, and I make a fresh commitment today to stand up and help my country, man, and just to have these young men, I make a fresh commitment, man. I rededicate myself to the work that I do. It's tiresome, but I rededicate myself because I have three young boys myself, my own. And God forbid, I don't know if I can take it out the father seeing my boys them locked down like that, man.
Shock treatment. We being the members of ZNS, took to the streets of Grand Bahama, and we did two pieces. And you'll see the first one right now, which has to do about how you feel about the crime situation in Grand Bahama. Immediately after that, I'd like for people to start coming to the two microphones so we can start hearing from you. But right now, let's hear what the man on the street in Grand Bahama has to say about crime on this island.
The way that jobs aren't as readily available as they used to be. So I feel like that contributes to the crime situation, as well as I think generally the homes, fathers and mothers, and are not really parenting children the way that they used to be parented and brought up. So I think all that contributes to the crime situation.
Yeah, we have crime in Grand Bahamas, and you know, I'll say this with the police here and in Nassau, they do their job. They do catch these criminals. The problem the police have is some of our laws really need correcting and changing, because it's a waste of time when a police officer locks a fella up and he gets bail and he goes and does something else. And then you lock him up again, and then later on he gets bail again.
We don't have a serious crime like Nassau. Nassau is outrageous. So yes, it's good to be living in Freeport, but I mean, the crime on the whole is bad in the Bahamas. So
it's because that me and my wife made a commitment before we was married, over 28 years now, that we'll never have a television in our home, and today we don't have one. And that helps, because you see the violence on the television, the blood and the guns and all of that. And people who have heard about my story, people, they are amazed that we don't have a television even today, over 28 years.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if that's the answer, but anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, please, can we hear from you? Please come to either of these microphones, and please come and express your views. In the meantime, I want you to know we're on Twitter, and it's at twitter.com/crimeforum242, or if you're on www.znsnews.com, you can check out our page there. But let's start on this side, and the young man right here. Please, tell us what you have to say tonight.
Good night. The criminal mind is made from the age of 7 to 14. That's when the conscious mind is being fully developed. That happens when a child, the mind is made when the child sees, hears, and feels different emotions and pulses. And the reason why we have a lot of crime is we stray away from being Bahamian. If we would cut away a lot of these different cultures we have coming into what the child sees, hears, and feels, we would not have to worry about a lot of things. We have too much cultures in our culture, and the child does not know which is balance, because he is not experiencing himself every day. And another, I have a question for the panel. Where's the Minister of Education? I think he should be on that panel, simply because education is paramount in crime, because one is that what the child learns influences what he hears, feels, and understands. And with the Minister of Education not being there, I see that to be a problem, because our crime leans towards the males mostly. And if the male is confused and he does not know where to go, we have a problem, and we have a big problem.
Thank you very much. We will have the gentleman right behind you, please, to come up as well. Then we'll go to the other side.
Good evening, head table. And good evening, Mr. Chairman. I have a serious problem about crime. The crime we have here in the Bahamas is these murders. If a man or woman come in your house and kill you or your son or your wife, I think it's no more than right for you to hang him. Thank you very much. And we have a next crime with rape. I think if you could come in my house, rape me or rape my wife, I think you should give them the canine tail, which is 10 cut. Then we'll have that crime right down to zero. Thank you very much.
Straight to the point. Sir.
Good evening. Good evening, panel. I just have one comment and one suggestion. Early in the week, I watched the news, and the leader of the country says, everybody knows where the crime areas are in Nassau. He says, Benin Grandstein, Minister of National Security. Then he said, Senegal. Then he says, Prime Minister constituency. The geographical area of those two constituencies are mapped out according to the election. In Chicago, on the north side, I have a friend. You can make note of this, please. His name is Lieutenant Nathaniel Gibson, on the south side of Chicago Police Department. The police department is on State and Rush. And I asked him 3 years ago, so how y'all get the murders down so low on the north side? He said, Campbell, this is what we did. We ran 50 cars. We got 100 police. We put 2 of them in the car on 24-hour shifts. We don't use the police from the CDU, the DEU, and the regular every day. We got retired police, semi-retired police, other enforcement officers from different branches. And we combine that and stake out that geographical area for 30 days. And the murder rate got 70%. Just by doing that. Rent 50 cars for 1 month. And I'm sure the government will be able to find money to do that. Now you folks up there, you decide really go find the manpower, because you got the manpower. I just heard about the 12-hour shift was reunited again with the defense force and the police combined together. There's retired policemen, there's reserve policemen. You had the firearms, you had the reserve guns, you had the rental cars, the 50, but 20 in Baintown, 20 in Centerville. Let's try and fix that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. Good evening. Times, former member of the City Miami Police Department. My thing is tracking some of the individuals that doing the crime. Now, you have Toyotas. You can have 5, 10, 50 blue Toyotas. What's the difference in each one of these? It's the tag that's on the Toyota. And just the same way they do the racial profiling in the United States, we can use that system here to track these individuals that doing the serious crime, right? A murder could be red. A rapist can be blue. Domestic violence could be green. But the difference is you can track them by using their tags. Each one of them, not all criminals have bought a vehicle. But if the tag is in their name, then the procedures as it pertains to arrest and tracking would be that much easier. Thank you.
Okay. Can we hear from you, please, sir?
Good evening, panel. Good evening, Mr. Greenslade. Haven't seen you since my son was shot. Mr. Greenslade, they lied to you. The police lied to you. Mr. Seymour, you've been lied to. Okay. Mr. Greenslade, you told me my son died instantly. Far from the truth. My son was thrown on a truck alive and talking. And they put their foot on his mouth to stop him from talking. If we're going to have police force like this, we're going to never get rid of crime. The young people in Abaco, they heard it because the way it was handled. Abaconian was threatened to be a witness. My son died. The news called him a fugitive. Nobody straightened that. Crime, God says, the land had gone sour because the priest and the prophet have gone sour. Money is causing the crime. The church was told by God to take care of little children. No charge for daycare center, no charge for nursery. You go to the church and you learn to fear God. People buy it, those little babies, mother's got to pay. The mother become prostitute because she don't have the money, but she want her child to go to school. And many churches say, don't bring them if you ain't got the money. Jesus gonna come and need all his money in the bank. Telling my mother never paid for any of her children to go to daycare center. And Mr. Nordich and you and Mr. Greenslade, you should know this. There was no daycare center, no nursery private about the church. You go through the church and you learn to fear God. These who couldn't do the crime, they didn't went through no church. And this is a problem. God said, train up the child in the way they may grow, that when they get old, they wouldn't become no criminal. The police run this country with a piece of stick in their pocket. Throw a handcuff on big man like me, little police. Come here, boy. Yes, sir? All he got is a crown and a piece of stick in his pocket. But they had training, the right training they had. They couldn't smoke publicly. They couldn't be seen with their bottle in their hand. We must come back to righteousness. Let me give you a name before you cut me off. My name is Terry Munnins. Okay, well, I can tell the rest of it to the news then.
The rest of the people here who want to
okay,
make
I better get this part in place. Mr. Greenslade, Mr. Seymour, I am going to the Tourist Travel Board. I have people in Canada ready to do it. I have people in England ready to do it. People in America ready. I got friends and family. They go into the travel board. I don't want that because it's going to hurt. Other people are going to get hurt. But they're going to the travel board with the tourists. Because this country do not have justice. That's all they had to say. One more minute. I will say this.
You're actually at the end of the minute, so I'm giving you 30 seconds now. Yeah, but very quickly, very quickly. I think there's some things that you may need to address outside of this forum. Okay, I understand that the Commissioner is going to respond to it, please.
Mr. Munnings, if you just look at me for a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to notice something tonight for 2 seconds, and I ask the Minister to respectfully allow me to respond. Notwithstanding anything that Mr. Munnings said, do you notice the way he started? He said, Mr. Greenslade. He lost his son in death. He's a grieving dad. I ask you as an audience to please understand that. I do. And Mr. Munnings, publicly tonight, I tell you publicly, there's only one thing that I have: my good name and my integrity. I told you as a dad, I would not delegate, listen to my words, I would not delegate the matter. I said I would not. So you either you trust me or you don't. And I'm telling you right now, I have the fullest confidence in the system. And I can assure you, everything is okay. I'm going to make a point. Listen, I'm on national television. If I try, Mr. Munnings, to stay out of my house one more night, I can get put out. My family hasn't seen me for the longest. And I feel so convicted by what you said tonight. I brought no clothes to change. I give you my heart. I can't leave this panel, but I really don't want you to leave until I touch you one-on-one. Trust me, sir. I leave it there.
Thank you. If we can continue now, if you would come this way, please, sir, and if we can hear from you.
Good night. Good night, everybody. Well,
the 23rd is a year, and there's a law says if it go that long, I cannot sue you.
Good night. I'm not going to be too long, but I have a couple of words to say that what the world needs is everybody forget. In the young days when we was growing up, ain't nothing we had to or do but go to church. But right now today, people forget about love. We cannot blame the police force. We cannot blame politics. What we got to go into and blame is family. Because as a young kid at 15 age, every mother, every father should know where their parents, where their kid is on the street and what they're doing. So I believe that I here today to tell the people that if you charge the children, you should charge the parents, because the parents should know where their kids is. And I'm somebody who's been around, and I'm changed my life. And I'm come to tell you right now that what the world needs is right now, we need is love. That's all we need is love. Just share it and share it out. That's all I have to say. Love.
If we can hear from you, sir, please.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone, and good evening to the panel. My name is Michael Roll. I am the founder and CEO of the 1,000 Man Association of Grand Bahama. It was 5 a.m. in the morning about 3 months ago, and I woke up crying. And the Lord had asked me to bring 1,000 men before him. And when 1,000 men come before God and hold their hands up to the heaven, he will heal this land. What we are dealing with is not normal. The killing is not normal. This is spiritual. This is far beyond what you can handle. This is demonic. It takes 1,000 men to stand before God to bring this change. For the men in here, we meet at the YMCA on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. I'm asking all the men to come to the YMCA. The answer, the solution to this crime is in this room. We all have the answer. The answer is God. When 1,000 men come together, each man has a family. They bring 1,000 families together when 1,000 men come. The time has come. If you want to get what you never had, you got to do what you've never done. And 1,000 men has never come together in the Bahamas and hold up their hands to God and ask for the healing of this land. This bloodshed is not normal. Guns do not kill people. People kill people. Guns is only the instrument that is used to commit the murder. But the spirit of murder has possessed our people, and we have to drive it out. You cannot begin, I know my 2 minutes are almost done. You cannot begin to mop up the floor until you find the source in which the water flows. Turn off the tap. When you turn off the tap, then you can mop up the water. Officers, you are trying to mop up something and you're not stopping the flow. in order for your work to be done, God has got to come and drive back the demons into the pits of hell. And then this land will be healed. If 1,000 men come together today, you'll reap a harvest tomorrow. I didn't come to preach. Thanks a lot.
If we can have this gentleman here, please.
Good evening, Mr. Minister, Sadabo, gentlemen. I have two tips that I believe might help to reduce some of the crime we have in our country. And one of them is if the minister can probably sign an executive order and have the police carry out the duties in terms of writing up people for tint, heavy tint on their windshield. I believe heavy tint is something that we need to have removed, because this will give the people an opportunity to at least see these thugs who are out there committing crime, murder and robbery and what have you. So I think that would be a good idea if we can do that. And also at the same time, if we can send a memo to the road traffic department not to license these vehicles with heavy tints, and also the police could be more proactive and booking these people. As a matter of fact, that can put some money in the treasury as well. So that's a way of collecting some of our taxes as well. Do that as well. So that's one point. My second point is I want to ask the minister, why is it that we have the Defense Force headquarters in Coral Harbor? When all the illegal migrants coming in from the south, in Agua, I think we've been talking about this for a long time now. I think we should look at putting that base in Agua, and that can stop the flow of the illegal migrants coming in. I don't know why we're not doing it, but that is something what we have to consider. It's been a long time now, so let's get cracking on this. Okay, gentlemen, that's my 2 points.
Any response to that? No? Okay. Good. Can we hear from you, sir, please?
Good evening, panel. I had the opportunity to sit in with you at the earlier meeting today, and a lot was said, which was positive. And Mr. Greenslade, he spoke passionately and was right on. But what I would like to say, my contribution to this is, we need to bring shock and awe to the judiciary. What we have is, the Bible said a three-woven cord is not easily broken. The judiciary is broken. There's a hole in it. And no matter how much we pour, the policemen work, and the parents do what they have to do, if the children don't see crime doesn't pay, the system is broken. If the child should slip out of the hands of the home, it should land in the church. If it slip out of the hands of the church, it should hit the government and come back. The judiciary, we need you to carry a bigger stick and mean what you say and allow these laws to be carried out. Because at the end of the day, they're common sense people. The criminal are common sense people too. They're going to test their boundaries like a little child. They're going to test to see how far they can go with mommy and daddy. And if we don't bring them back, if we spare the rod, if you spare the rod, you're going to help spoil our children. When they come back to us, they're going to be more defiant and more defiant. We need to break that system. We need to come together in unity, the church, the home, and the government. Carry the big stick, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. You're up next, my friend.
Community, fellow citizens. I want to make an observation first and then a suggestion. I see that there's not enough respect or appreciation for our law enforcement community here in the Bahamas. And as a world traveler, I can tell you we have some of the finest men and women in uniform anywhere in the world. So I want to say a special thank you to the law enforcement community for the job that they do with all the challenges that they face, and I can tell you there are many. Secondly, I heard the Prime Minister made a proposal on crime the other day, and I'm listening to what everybody is saying tonight, and I've listened to many of the other forums, and I can tell you that no matter what happens or what type of suggestions are taken, crime will not decrease until we have someplace to house the criminals. Right now, Fox Hill is bursting at the seams. It was designed for, I think, about 800 people. Now we have approximately 3,000 people there. And something has to be done. Either there has to be an expansion or a new prison has to be built. And I feel that if that is done, then the judiciary can do their job in a more effective manner. Instead of always blaming and criticizing the police officers who are doing an excellent job, the criminals wouldn't have to get out on bail, because we are a country who adheres to law and order, okay? And the judge's hands are tied, the police hands are tied when they put these people in and they have no place really to house them. So as a result, they are let back out on bail. And I feel that if somebody commits murder, it is absolutely insane to allow that person back on the street with bail. If you commit a rape, and you were given bail, how in the world do you get back out on bail for another rape? The system is broken. And unless and until we find a solution to house these people, we're going to continue on with the same problem day in and day out. And my suggestion would be to come up with a comprehensive plan to construct a new prison so that we can adequately address this crime problem. Thank you.
If we can hear from the lady over there, please.
Good evening, distinguished gentlemen, Commissioner, Minister, and all the gentlemen on the panel. This evening, I too was looking forward to seeing the Minister of Education, and because I do believe that we can help reduce crime through the educational system. For the past 5 years, I've been going along with church members to Walter Parker Primary School, and we've been doing Bible club after school for those kids that are left behind, sometimes for 4 hours. And the whole idea is that as you fight crime in the adults today, there are young children in primary schools already showing signs of criminal activity. And so we believe that if we can do Sunday school or Bible clubs in primary school, that we can prevent new criminals from coming out of the system. We know that all children go to primary schools in the Bahamas, but not all will finish high school. So we can reach every child if we get into the primary school and try to change those bad habits. Guidance counselors are seeing increasing numbers of disruptive behaviors in primary schools. And I believe that all parents who have young children, they do not want to see their children in this predicament in 10 years. It will only take 5 to 10 years before those primary school kids will be facing criminal charges as adults. And so in a couple of months, Commissioner, I am doing my doctoral degree in transformational leadership. In a couple of months, I will be presenting a proposal that will partnership with the juvenile panel, with guidance counselors, with principals, and with the church to create a program that will cause these agencies together to send families who are really struggling socially and economically into the foundation to learn how to change their behavior and to bring their families in order so that they can thrive. Every nation needs thriving families in order for us to get to the next level. Because when we have all this problem, we can't even get to the next level economically. And so we're looking forward to that. And also, I'm also concerned about the College of the Bahamas. It's in New Providence, where all the crime is escalating. And families, I know families in Freeport, I am one for sure, and families in the Family Islands who are very concerned about sending their children to New Providence to study. I believe that Grand Bahama Island is the perfect location in the Bahamas to establish the full campus for the College of the Bahamas. Parents will feel safer. It will also cause a population shift. You'll have professors they'll have to move if their jobs are in Freeport. Freeport moved to Nassau all the time. People from Family Islands have to move. Why can't Nassau move to Freeport? We will see good population growth and good business come back to Freeport, because even students who come from these different islands and from different countries will decide to stay in Freeport. So thank you. God bless.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Dr. Bernard Nonard, Commissioner of Police Greenslade, good evening. My name is Glenn Lang. I'm from Great Guanake. Crime is on the rise. You have guests, you have people breaking into guest homes. Tourists don't even want to come to the Bahamas anymore. And we don't have any police. There's no police presence on Great Guanake. No police presence whatsoever. Absolutely none. Also there's a place called Scotland Key. They have their own private airport. You have no customs, no immigration. No one knows what comes in or what even goes out. No one. And lastly, we have Guanake is a drug haven. Drug haven. So something needs to be done with that. Okay. That is all I have to say for now.
Please.
Good evening, everybody. I'm not here to preach. I thank God for being here. Thank God for Grand Bahama. By the night, I'm sober. Dr. Mike, and Greenslade, Mr. Nordich, and the whole panel, and the whole police department. I'm going to say categorically right now, I have no problem with the Grand Bahama Police Force because they are doing a stellar job. Give them a hand, please. Oh, yes. And they did not tip me to say that. The simple thing is, let's be our brother's keeper. We have to be the eyes and ears of the police because the police cannot do it by themselves. I got 2 sons. If my son come in your house at 3 o'clock in the morning, not uninvited, looking through your drawer, you think he comes to keep church? Oh, no. Oh, no. And again, it's a matter of choice. You can choose to be good or choose to be bad. I choose to be good. And you know by the company you keep, and guess what? It's good to keep good company in Grand Bahama, in good company tonight, and God bless you. Jingle bell.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good evening. Good evening, gentlemen. What I'm going to share with us this evening is not so much popular. The Bible states that righteousness exalteth a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. I also want to commend the police who have done a wonderful job on last year, 2013. Let's give the police a round of applause. But I want to support Pastor Terry Munnings, wonderful, fine pastor. My name is Reverend James Bassett from one of the Churches of God here in Grand Bahama. I think the time has come for us as preachers, pastors, and leaders to hit the streets. We have some fine pastors in the audience, Mr. Norwich. And we also have some fine pastors all over this archipelago. I think what we need to do now to bring crime down, we need to go back to the old way and to hit the streets. Jesus said we shall go into the streets, into the highways, and to compel them to come. The Bible says if any man is in Christ, he is a new creature. The old things are passed away, and behold, all things are become new. This is not popular, but if we are going to see the crime diminish and come down, we must go back to the Bible. God bless you.
Online, but we want to hear what's happening, the feedback from social media right now. So I would like to introduce you to Diasante Benaby, who is monitoring that for us. Diasante, good evening, and what are people saying online?
Good evening. Once again, you can join us via social media. We are on Twitter, which is @CrimeForum242, and you can also join us on Facebook at the ZNS official Facebook page. Tonight we have Grand Bahama has low employment, but also low crime. I'm not sure why that is, but it certainly should be studied so that we can find why that is. And that's from Kenneth from Arden Forest. We have to get serious as a people. We say no to gambling and now we grumble about no for VAT. But then we want helicopters and drones and magic bullet solutions to crime. The money to fight crime has to come from somewhere, and we can't borrow for everything, and that is from Willis P. Roll, Cable Beach. The urban renewal house-to-house canvassing is an excellent idea. To know where the criminal behavior is happening, you have to know where the criminals are, and you can't get better information than from the people themselves. Keep it coming, and that's from Brandy from Freeport. With Memories Resort opening and what's going to happen in Nassau later in the year, people will be too busy working to be thinking of ways to rob and kill. Just my 5 cents. Mario G. from Flinders Point. O.J. Cooper from 8 Mile Rock said, the key to any crime fight is the police. Put the police on the streets and watch what happens. Taking them off over the holidays so they can do private function shows that even the bad boys know when the cops are around, crime goes down. I thank you so much for joining us via social media. Once again, it's @crime242, and join us on Facebook at the official ZNS.com official Facebook page. Thank you.
And thank you, Diasante. Now, if we can get back to hearing what people have to say, we'll go with the gentleman over here in the cap, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Mr. Jonathan Cox. Happy New Year, Bahamas. One love. One love to the panel, too. You know, we have a serious problem in the Bahamas. One of the problems is identity. We have all nationalities here for the last 15 to 20 years. The government needs to sit down and engage these people. That's why crime is so high. You got people driving cars, no identity. You got people driving motorbikes, no identity. We don't know where these people are from. You know, and then the thing about it is, I'm a hobbyist. I like to shoot my gun. Gun license went up $150. That's over 150%, I guess. Probably 200. The bad boy, he don't have to pay a dime. He walk around, he pull his big tool on me. I going out to shoot in the bush. He pulling out in the front of my house. What must I do? You know, when we start setting these laws, we need to look at the small business people, and we need to look at the hobbyists, so we can get the price right. We can't just stick it, because that's where the small man, who is the businessman, you cut him out. We need to find a way how we could bring middle class back in the Bahamas. Mr. Norris, I have the most highest respect to you. Mr. Greenfield, I have the most highest respect to you. I love my Bahamas. I love my people. Let's put Bahamians first and engage the people who've been here for the last 15 to 20 years. Then we could cut crime. Crime is something, it's a facet of many things. You know, people, I was looking, I'm so sorry, but the man for immigration should have been here tonight. Because we have an immigration problem, because identity is a serious problem.
Yeah, good night. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bernard Hebert. I will give you 3 solutions to the crime problem. First one is the curricula in the schools. You got to change it. The ultimate subject has to be religious knowledge. You cannot teach Bahamians from grade 1 to grade 7 about Jesus Christ, then go from grade 8 to 10 or 11 and teach him social social science about all these denominations. It don't work like that. Make religious knowledge the #1 subject in school across the board. Let me tell you why. The Constitution of the Bahamas said what? Christian value. The label on the country says what? Christian nation. So don't teach them children Christianity for 7 years, and then when it's time for them to really learn, you teaching them something else. You looking for another generation without there now doing the foolishness they doing to come forward again, because they don't know God and they don't fear God. So what you think about the rest of us? They ain't gonna fear us, and that's exactly what they doing. That's the first one. That's easy. That's the stroke of the pen. Just implement it, because when I went to school, religious knowledge was mandatory, straight across the board. Right now, when they get in grade 11 and 12, they could choose. That got to change, man. If you want us to uphold the law, right, you tell us to uphold the law. The Constitution of the Bahamas is the ultimate law. It's a Christian value. So that's #1. #2 is simple. You catch a criminal, you put him in jail. He's on vacation, man. You know, rehabilitation up and down. And if you want to rehabilitate a criminal, you got to give him hard labor. Because majority of them don't want to wait, and they ain't care about working. Meaning one thing. Move the jail, put it in Andres, like the gentleman say. Give them a mile of clear land around it and let them rise with the sun like our forefathers did and farm the land. Understand? Farm the land from sun up to sundown, because y'all cannot send nobody in here to hard labor. And our labor is the ultimate punishment, because that's the same law what God gave to what? Adam and Eve. Hard labor. They mess up. Hard labor. By the sweat ye bread. Very simple. The last one, at least a better one, urban renewal. Can you make urban renewal like a parole officer for criminals? Because you let criminals out after they and do what they have to do. You don't have no checks or balance on them. So they roam in the street like me. I ain't doing nothing. No, you need to put some checks and balance on them, meaning that every criminal in every constituency, he needs to check into urban renewal from 9 o'clock in the morning, between 9 and 11, and he needed to have a curfew. 10 o'clock, he needed to be off the street. You understand? So he needed to sign out. And at the point of urban renewal closing, maybe 5 o'clock from 9 to 5, no, after 5 o'clock, let the police take over. It becomes a station for them, is right. If they don't sign in, call the squad car, go pick that one up and find out where he is. So give him 2 years probation after he leaves jail. After he leaves jail, he got to prove himself he's worthy to be in this community again. You see what I'm saying? See, so I didn't make that up. You all might know that was going on from in Genesis. That was the first My Brother's Keepers program God implement. He did it with Cain and Abel. You understand me? Cain killed Abel. Cain and Abel used to check in with God. One day, Cain and Abel didn't check in. God checked them. It's simple. I'm being honest with you, sir. These things are just a stroke of a pen, what I just tell you, because it don't cost you nothing. But I'll tell you something what can cost you something besides moving to prison. You are, Mr. Norton, you're supposed to be the Minister of National Security, right? So, you need a national security force, not a police force, not a prison guard. No, a national security force, meaning this. The defense force, what Mr. Pinland implemented back in the day, if he didn't do that, you count all the immigrants with the defense force already kept, and see how much of them will be in here right now. No, how really being overrun right now. Because he implemented that, they didn't get to come here because the defense force stopped them. I'm talking about the national security guard who could patrol every point of island and community and constituency in this country. They wait 24/7 rather than overweight the police. Because if you're going to overweight the police, you should pay them, tell you the truth. I mean, oh, seriously, man. Y'all laughing. You think I going to wait for free? No, I don't wait for free, but look here. I only say that because of the mere fact that you're going to definitely turn them off because, you know, if a guy doing a good job and then you give him extra weight and overweight him, he ain't going to wait no more. But the National Security Guard will do stuff like that. Say the labor department in the Bahamas, they have nobody to police. Nothing in the waiting community. They don't police nothing. The National Insurance, they don't have nobody policing that. It's a national thing. And the National Security Force I'm talking to you about, sir, they're supposed to be more crucial than the police force. Because when the police go wrong, these the guys need to go get them. Not they investigate themselves. You see what I mean? Other than that, it's simple. National Security Force is most needed even now. You inviting VAT into the country. Who can police that? That's all I'm saying. This stuff is easy, man. It's like you sit down and think about it, and it's easy. And the ultimate see of it is this. If you can white what, do me a favor, please. At the end of the year, give me half my money back. No, seriously, give me half my money back. See, because you got the Bahamas doing offshore banking. And literally, you need to go put VAT on that. Seriously. Because if you're going to VAT me, you need to VAT the foreigners too.
I want to make their points. You made some good points, but there's some other people here who want to talk as well. Thank you for your contribution.
Good evening. My name is Lionel McIntosh, and I'd like to say welcome to the panel, especially Minister of National Security and good Commissioner of Police. Now, how I see it, first you put God first, and you get a man straightened out. Give this man some dignity back, because a lot of men in our country doesn't have the dignity. The dignity for men that they can actually have a job and take care of their family. Now I was here tonight and I hear a lot of symptoms, because crime, when I go there and I steal, I murder, is really, that's just a symptom of what happened. I think we really need to get at the root of the problem. And as I see it, what I call the three sacred cows, I probably see it a little bit different from other people, but the number one cause of crime in the world, I should say, is religion. I am not talking about spirituality now, I'm talking about religion. Number two is the politicians who fail to pass the laws to solve crime. I think Dr. Nodded said he know that. And number three is the banks and the multi-corporation, like the power company. Too much pressure on the small man. You know, you talk about education, but a lot of our boys, most of the boys are from poor fathers, or they ain't there at all. So, you see, we men is at disadvantage from the womb to the tomb. Check it out. And the police could suppress crime for a while, but if you don't get those three sacred cows straightened out, I could tell you crime will be right back. That's all I'm going to say for tonight.
Thank you, sir. Let me hear from you, please.
I am Altis Woodside. I've heard a lot of people, at least tonight, they're talking about the problem. But I haven't heard much solution. How are we going to correct the problem? I've been in the pastorate now for 41 years. I've been in the education for 29 years. And so I deal with young people. I've been dealing with young people practically all of my life. And first, let me pay homage to our panel, because a number of my good friends are sitting there, and I do respect the job that you all have done and are continuing to do in our country. Crime itself starts from the cradle. I'm the father of 5 children. I have preached in Foxhill Prison on a number of occasions. And the changes that came about that caused us to have some of the maladies that we face today is that some parents, now hear me, I'm not going to be here very long, some parents have lost the power to raise their children because of laws that we have in our country. Here it is, a young man can call social service because mother or father disciplined him. He goes out, they take him from that home, and they give him and put him into either Simpson Pen or one of the other. I'm going to do an high panel, so I know what I'm talking about. And before you know it, he is an adult. Now he breaks the laws of the land. But the laws of the land can take him and lock him up in Foxhill Prison now for discipline. If mom or dad was given the privilege to use the home discipline that God designed, the Bible says this in the book of Proverbs, beat the child bedtime and you'll save his soul from hell. That's the Bible. It says foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction will drive it far from him. I am not advocating abuse. I believe parents ought to know the proper way to discipline a child. I am 64 years old. My mom, now I believe this was physical abuse, beat me 3 times a day. In the morning before she went to work, she was a working mom. She would wake us up and say, now, because I was the second oldest, get ready for school. And she would say, no, I got to chill you. I ain't do nothing yet. That's how my day started. Now, parents, I'm not saying you must do that to your children, but I just use that to show you that I've never been in Foxhill Prison, charged for any kind of crime. And it's because my parents followed that process. Now, hear me tonight. We are not going to be able to correct this in 20 years. 40 years as a generation. Read the Bible. It takes that long for this to happen. This just didn't happen overnight. This started with some parents who said, I'm not going to raise my children like my parents raised me. And they spoiled them. And now, what we have now is a spoiled apple. And so now, if we start now, you and I wouldn't be around when you have the next good generation. But it can begin like the young man who talked about the 1,000 men, and of course a number of them. And so therefore, we need to try now to see if we can get the government to give back to the sober-minded families the right to discipline their children, and not when they call the police to say it's abuse. Investigate it properly and let them have that authority.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay. Only because we've got, 4 or 5 people on each side, and we want to hear from as many of you as we can. Just going to remind you to try and make your point in as quickly a period of time as you can. Make your point as quickly as you can, please. It's already close to 9:30. Let's hear from you, sir.
Good night, panel. Good night, everybody. My name is Troy Wellington Johnson. I'm a commercial pilot. And the most three men I wanted to see more than anything else, Mr. Bell, Mr. Greenslade, and the Minister of National Security. Mr. Greenslade, I don't know if you remember the word man in the suit. That ring a bell to you. Man in the suit. Okay. I worked with you during the hurricane, the fishing hole. There were times in Bimini when you needed to get in there, late hours. 1 or 2 times they pick you up out of Nassau. I've been a commercial pilot for about 15 years, okay? I've never been before the courts. I never had a police record. I was working from I was 16. I think I'm a taxpayer, been paying national insurance, never claimed in my life, okay? I had a situation where I was at work in Nassau, had to go to court. The court deemed me free, all charges. Went back to work 2 days later, the same 3 officers. So this is my way, this is my input about crime. Okay, it has to start within the police force. I had 3 officers pick me up against my will. I would think that's kidnapping. Okay? Throw me in the SUV, ride me in the back of the food store, West Bay Street, where they take me to meet with the DEA. I know all the names, I'm not going to call any names. Right down to the DEA, the U.S. guy, wanted me to solicit people with bringing drugs or money or whatever. And I said no. And as I said no, he told me, well, do you have a current visa? Now, they know every pilot has to go to the States every 6 months for recurrency. So he told me if I don't do it, he'll cancel my visa when he goes to the office. In fact, he'll do it on his phone. Okay? That he did. You say, if you be out of your house another night, you get put out. If I be home another night, I get put out. Because I haven't worked in a year. You understand me? And I've been to headquarters over and over trying to see you. Dr. Dava can tell you. Craig can tell you. Toya. Mr. Seymour can tell you that. Mr. Seymour's driver, Patrick Starr can tell you that. Okay? A few pastors. Everybody in here knows me. Okay? And I feel as if this was just unjust. You understand what I'm saying? You know? Every time I'm a person, I watch the news every day. And every time there's a big, major drug bust or major money cease in Nassau, these same officers, the criminals taking the criminals to court. You understand me? And it disgusts me to even watch it now. But it's been a year now, no solution. How is it that I go to court and to be picked up by a police? If you can pick me up, you can pick me up, but take me to the station. Never went to the station. It seems like everybody I talk to, because they hear USDA, nobody wanted to touch it. And I went and I paid my money. We talk about crime. Start with the embassy. I paid my $220 and didn't even get an interview. You understand me? Now, that's all I can be short. Other than Mr. Greenslade, I always watch you. I know you from you. I know of you when you first came to Freeport. You always, I'm a uniform wearing person. I believe in being clean. I believe in being professional. You see that same officer right there with the suit on, the dark suit? Yeah. A lot of officers need to take a page of this book. The same, let him stand up. Yeah, him. See that same officer right there? I don't know his name, but I had an incident with him. See, I'm just going to sit and just talk the bad things about officers. I had an incident with him, and his superior was there. And he was very professional. His superior should have been under him. That's my sense tonight.
Thank you. Yeah. All right.
Good evening. My name is Baldwin Darling, Sr. And I would like to first welcome the distinguished panel. I was at home and I could not have missed this. I just had to come down here because the Honorable Minister was here and Mr. Keith Bell, and I wanted to elaborate on something in reference to the prison. But before I do that, I'd like to say that to Mr. Greenslade, you're doing a great job. And as a former police officer, I wish that I was on the force during the time you were here. I would have still been there. I'm also a former prison officer. And I came mainly because of the fact that being a former prison officer, there's a lot I can tell you. And one may ask, why is it that these inmates always want, when an inmate released from prison, they continue going back? They're continuing to go back mainly because of the fact that there's a lot of slackness. You know, I've been an officer there. There are guys who was on Mr. Ramming, who was in khaki, in high rank, who I know were trafficking drugs, contraband, whatever, during the time I was there as an officer. They were officers. And when I came back from the United States and found them to be in high position, it was amazing to me. So I'm saying that to say this. If you traffic drugs or anything to an inmate during the beginning of their criminal career, what happens then is that as long as they have that on you, regardless of how high you go within the prison, they always have something on you. You see? So, in reference to Mr. Bell and Honorable Nordic, what you're going to have to do is revamp the prison, because a lot of them are still there. So as long as they are there, the system will always be found. So it's there. I'm not on the staff now because of the fact that I was offered $2 million to bring in a gun. I refused to bring it. As a result of that, McDonald's did not sign me over. So I know what's happening. So if you want the prison system to work, you have to revamp the prison system.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We can hear from you, please, sir.
Minister and members of the panel. I am Reverend Clifford Lewis from Our Savior Lutheran Church here in Freeport. I just returned to the Bahamas 2 years ago after serving as a missionary for almost 16 years on the continent of Africa, living in 3 countries and serving in more than 8. Coming back to Freeport, one of the questions I was asked was, how is it going living back in Freeport? And as I've always said, this is the greatest island in the Bahamas. And the Bahamas is still the greatest country in the world for all the places where I've lived. And I know that we're all bothered with crime and the stuff that happens in our society. And it's something that is at the heart of who we are as a people, that we want to live in peace. One of the things that I find really that I struggle with is the thing with our teenagers, for example. Mr. Minister said this afternoon at our forum the number of kids that are in prison, 15 to 20. And Commissioner Greenslade talked about the fact that the crimes happen sometime between 8 and midnight, and then midnight to 4. I find it really strange that our children in this country that are 15, 16, 17 years old are out until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I asked a young woman one day, I said, when you go out and you stay out at age 16 until 2 o'clock in the morning, what are you going to do when you're 25? You probably won't come home. But this is part of, I think, one of the problems that we face. I know, like I said, I've lived not only in Africa, I've lived in the South Pacific and a lot of places. 14 and 15 and 16-year-olds are not out on the streets after 9 o'clock at night. They are picked up and they are taken either to their parents or they're taken to the prison. I think we need to begin to do something with our teenagers. If they are in school and should be in school, they should be home studying. They should not be out on the streets all hours of the night. I mean, I think the parents should have some responsibility for that as well. so that they understand that if you're bringing up children, then they should have lives as children, not as adults. And I think that we need to begin to work on that and to be sure that not only the parents, but the police as well. I remember when I came to Grand Bahama to live with my older brother, I was 19 years old. And Mr. Wild Goose used to be the door guy at the Parlor Bar in the King's Inn. You know Mr. Wild Goose? Well, I could only go with my brother at age 19. When I turned 21, and I went to the door and told Mr. Wild Goose I was 21, he said, "You bring your brother, make sure he tells me that you're 21 before you can come in here by yourself." That was the kind of discipline that we had in this country and on this island. I told some young fellas the other day, I've been back at the church just a little over a year, and I'm already working with the police. I'm with a couple of the urban renewal police from Marco City, working with the kids, the boys at risk at Freeport Primary and at Jack Haywood. So I'm already out and getting involved with things that need to happen. I told the young men, when I was a young man in Freeport back in the 70s, we used to play dominoes with the police out on Field Street. When they would see us out at night, they would make sure that we were of age to be in the Sandpiper. Because if you weren't over 18, you couldn't get in the Sandpiper. So I don't know what is going on with our law enforcement or our parents when we allow our children to be out until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when they should be in school. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we're going to take not a break, but we're going to go into here what's happening online right now, and we go back to Diasante Benabi. What's happening now online, Diasante?
Good evening, Bahamas, once again, and we thank you for joining us via Twitter, and that's @CrimeForum242, @CrimeForum242, and also the official page for ZNS.com. We have from Zenith in Arden Forest. Grand Bahama has low employment but also low crime. I'm not sure why that is, but it certainly should be studied so that we can find why that is. I think we're seeing the speed once again. We're moving along. I think we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. We ask that you definitely join us on Twitter at CrimeForum242, at CrimeForum242. I think we're going to move along. We have to build, there we go, Gemini X from Malcolm Allotment. We have to put the Lord first and learn to love, respect, and honor each other. The young man who spoke first is correct. We have to teach these values early or we will continue to have problems. With Memories Resort, and I think we have this once again this year. We're going to be very busy so that we will be working, that we won't be robbing and killing. I think we're having a little glitch, and so we'll just take a few more questions behind me, and then I'll be back. All right?
Good. Well, let's get back, and I know you've been waiting for a while. Let's hear what you have to say, sir.
C. Allen Johnson. I'm the senior spokesman for Alliance for Change, the civic, social, community, and political activist, 21st century activist group. I have a couple of information for you to have. I guess you can rewind the tape when you get back to it. First of all, I think for the government, we must establish in law an integrity commission. One that police the police, that police our businesses, that police more so our politicians. Clearly, we live in a small society, and we have an endemic problem concerning integrity in our country. The criminals knows what goes on. We in the community knows what goes on. What we have to do also is this. We're in the 21st century. This is a similar process called crowdsourcing. We need to engage crowdsourcing from a technological standpoint. And that is basically, if you Google the meaning of it, it means that you use the collective intelligence of the entire Bahamas, not just in this room, but you use it 24 hours a day, utilizing technology. We are one of the most digitally prepared countries in the world. Just use one information, one piece of crowdsourcing. You can actually, and you have thousands of terabytes of unused data in every single neighborhood. We could put IP cameras on the end of every house, on lampposts that point down the street that use it, that give IP addresses to the police to see everything that goes on in every single neighborhood, and it's locked and sealed using the cloud. Okay? What we have to do is we have to fund the prison, we must fund the police, we must fund the court, we must fund the one-man NIA, and we must fund education. I listened to the budget. They give you the $100,000, but I think you need about 15 to 20 million to start. What we need to do is put in perspective. In the Bahamas, I understand the laws on guns. It's simple. As long as guns are outlawed, only outlaws will have guns. We need to redefine our right to carry arms. We need to invoke programs such as STEP, Systematic Training for Effective Parenting. The Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, to which I belong to, has a program called MAILS that engage young men. Mentoring and leadership equals success. We need to engage the community organization as part of the crowdfunding ideal. What we have to do is we need to engage an education system. Our education system is rooted in 19th century concepts in the 21st century Bahamas. What we have to do is we need to reform our education system that embraces empowerment. We need to reform our financial laws. When we talk about economic empowerment, we need to develop a national development plan for which Bahamians can buy into that vision. We need to develop a national economic plan that allows Bahamians to have access to the exact same resources that foreigners in our countries do. We need to be able to have access to global capital. There's things in the marketplace which are similar to crowdsourcing. That's called crowdfunding. We have hyperfunding that could fund millions and hundreds of millions of dollars that could fund these nonprofit agencies. We have crowdfunding that businesses up to $1 million can get funding to start, utilizing the same resources that we give these heads of agreement to these individuals. Let's begin to have a national economic plan that incorporates Bahamian into that plan. What we need to do is we need to have one crime plan. I have a crime plan from the Prime Minister, the Commissioner of Police, National Security, the F&M, and the DNA if you count the lynching. And we need to have one plan that can become combined and it has synergy across the entire board. But when we talk about crime, we always talk about addressing crime. What we have to do is we need to address the fundamental issues of why crime happens. We should not be seeking to grow the police force nor grow the prison. What we should be seeking to empower Bahamians that they become obsolete. Social service, I hear the government have an active screaming about the ability to expand social services. What we need to do is we seek a plan to eliminate social services, reduce the police force, reduce the prison force, because empowered people do not turn to crime. I have a host of other different things. I'm going to reach out to you. I've been trying and trying and trying, but now we are an organized force, embracing 21st century technology. You will hear us, because it's our goal to restore the vision of our fathers and to reclaim the dream they promised us. I know what crime is. My father was murdered in Super Value in 1984. House has been broken into. I have a brother that has been kidnapped and tied up, and I can go over and over and on again. I am well familiar with it. We should not have this in a country this small and ending. Just to the police department, the World Health Organization classifies 30 homicides per 100,000 individuals as a war zone. In New Providence alone, when you hit 105 murders, you are considered in armed conflict. We must first recognize our position and stop denying it so we can plot a path to where we want to be. But you must first know where you are to know where you want to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. We're going to come to you in a second, but first we're going to hear from Diazante, who actually has the updated social book information for us.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Reed. And once again, thank you for joining us via Twitter and Facebook. And we're going to go live with all of our tweets and our Facebook posts. We must be able to be our brother's keeper. The police force is doing a good job, and I commend Greenslade. And this is from Enid Albury via Twitter. Philly from Abaco simply says, give them the cat. And we go to Atlanta. People need to trust the people in uniform. We need to know that they have our backs and will not be weak or corrupt. Fix that, fix crime. An alternative to the death penalty is needed. All lifers must be removed from society forever and made to repay their debt to society via hard labor, farming, cement making, small-scale manufacturing. Sharon Will, ZNSBahamas.com. Sterling Thompson via Facebook says, we need to have national prayer for this country. Vanessa B. in West End says, big ups to Mr. Wright from the prison for focusing on reducing the repeat visitors to HMP. Rehabilitation is a major part of fighting crime, and we have a prison chief who understands how to change minds behind bars. We can't forget the boys and girls schools either. We thank you so much for joining us via social media. Have a good night.
Great. Thank you, Diasante. Now, if we can hear from you, sir.
Good night to the panel, ministers, and most of all to the community of Grand Bahama. My name is Ansel Pearson, and I want to first say that if we really look at the Bible, when there was only 4 people on the face of the earth, like Adam, Eve, Cain, and Abel, there was crime, and that was murder. So I won't be so far-fetched to say that we will have the answer for crime, or that I could have an answer for crime. You know, it's just a situation that's on our social fabric at this time. But I had an opportunity to go into my old community, Hawksville, and sit down and talk to some of the guys that are down there, some of the young guys on the street. And their biggest concern is hopelessness. They feel hopeless. And when you have a bunch of youth, a bunch of black males in particular, that feel hopeless, then they lose fear. And when they lose fear, you got what you got, and that's crime. One of the men said to me straight and plain, he said, Davis, he said, look, man, my power off, our water off. We ain't got no spigots all around the island like Nassau. Then they telling me to go to school. Telling my sister at 14 to go to school. We can't even make a bath in the morning. That's how tough things could be on this island. The island is really in a bad state. I want y'all to hear that. If you have the degree of hopelessness that you have, you will have crime. The people, they have lost all fear. One of the guys specifically, and I speak for them, I came here to say what they say to me. One of the guys said to me, man, jail is better. I get free meals and I got someplace to sleep. Their concept is that way. It sounds bad, it sounds far-fetched, but that's what it's come down to. One of the guys said to me, hey, I ain't voting for none of them clowns next time. F&M or PLP. None, I ain't voting. And I stopped and I stood back and I listened to that. And you know what came on my mind was majority rule. Mandela served 27 years in prison for one man, one vote. We now have our males in this country, in particular the black males, who are now talking but not even going to the polls. To taking away that given right that was fought so much for us in '67, one man, one vote, they don't even want to exercise it because of the loss of hope. So I feel like Sister Victor said that maybe the Minister of Education should be there. Maybe the Minister of Finance should be here too. You know, we need to look at putting hope back in the youth. I compliment all the programs like Outreach Ministry and all the young programs here that are trying so diligently. But the reality of it is that if you have a hopeless set of young males in particular, you're going to have crime because they don't see the value in an education when they don't even have hope for life tonight. They don't see the value in your life when they see no value in theirs. So you asking them to have value for you or value for society when they have lost the value for themselves. So this is where I feel that Sir Lyndon had the vision to say that the black male, young black male had to be examined. I feel that it still has to be. I think it has to be addressed. I think that we need to really and truly take a step back and find out what we could do to positively motivate them. And I say we, I talk about myself as well, to get more active and involved in it. And I just thank you for allowing me to come and voice my opinion tonight. And I appreciate you guys for coming and listening. May God bless you all.
You too. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yes. Good night. All right. I have a couple of points to make. The last point will be the best point. You know. Good night, Mr. Darwell, Mr. Greenslade, and everybody, and all the Rasta men and Rasta women. You know, I give thanks for everybody. You know, they look down on us. You see, like we ain't nothing, but we teach them how to eat and drink. You see, but now we ain't come to talk about that because we only get a couple minutes. I was molested when I was a child, and I never tell my mother from my own family in 8 Mile Rock. And that's why it's God in flesh right now today. Because I didn't destroy him with lightning and thunder. Because just what we ain't scared of no one. I come to talk about the police tonight too.
Because they come around the place and be dissing people. People only trying to eat. If they see someone smoking, yeah, we respect them. But we ain't trying nothing, you know. They got people out there with killing, murdering, raping, and doing all these things like what I hear people saying. I was in my bed watching y'all, and I had to come out. You understand? My old lady never know. I was molested to my own cousin. A little change and snake me suck his doggy. You all excuse my language here.
Hold on, we're on live TV now. Yeah. I think you have to. Yeah. I'm sorry. We. Okay, but whatever your solution is, whatever your recommendation is, can you say it very quickly for us, please?
I know my old lady watching. I see, Dr. Darwell, you come to my door and you knock. You know, and I was trying to talk about serious things. A man who don't read, can't read and write. You hear me? You come to my door and you ask me, no, hold on. I want to say these things, what you need to hear. No, yeah, respect. You know, I was going to say these things. I did ask for so, because people, like I say, people explaining how people getting killed and murdered. You hear what I say? You need American embassy, even if it's just an office here in Freeport. So people right here can't get themselves mixed up, because we don't play. We ain't scared of nobody. We respect the law. I respect Mr. Greenslade for me come on. And I respect you too, Mr. Darwell. I come to your office over and over for a job. I demand of seizure. I want you to let me talk, boss. I have seizure when I don't eat and when I don't drink. You know why I have seizure? Because my son get knocked down when he was 2 years old. He would have been 7 right now. And I respect these Rastafarian people because they grow me up and they show me how to love God and live and hate him and die. These same people right here, I want you to look at them. I want you all to show them on TV. See Pops in the back there? Rasta? I want you all to respect them and bring them so they could be showing people, because people don't respect certain people. You hear what I say? They don't respect us. That's why they don't respect you all. But if we all respect one another and we stop having self-pride, we know how to go do things, pick up can and do certain things and go sell it to people just for $5 or $4 and you can eat, my Lord, and you ain't got to worry about nothing else. You about bills, but we can get the bills because God can make us pay. He don't give us more than we can bear. My son get knocked down. They take him from off that ground. The ambulance supposed to come for him. They send ambulance for me when I have seizure to try to on like, oh, something wrong with Rasta. My brethren is be talking and saying, oh, he need to go take his pills. But I scare them and I feed them every day. I show them how to pick up can. I show them how to pick up certain things, but they don't respect me. Okay. No, hold on. I want Mr. Greenslade.
I think I've given you enough time. If you need to speak to, Minister Darwell, perhaps you can do it after this. But I think that's it right now. We give you 1 minute. 1 minute for your final point.
1 minute. I like how you all around me. Come. I respect you all. That's why I live today. That's why God make Rasta them live. Yes. I like how you all here, man. I say I respect you all. People don't respect you all, no. You all better know. Say, this God would be serving. Please give people hard attack.
That one. Okay.
Hey,
all right.
Mr. Greenslade, all of them want Mr. Greenslade know what they do to my son.
Cut him off. Sir, I'm sorry. Can you speak perhaps with Mr. Greenslade afterwards? I would suggest that you do that. But no, but right now, because you're going off on a tangent. You speak to him after this, please. Thank you. Can we have the next person, please? Can you please speak, sir, coming up now? Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Greg Bullard. Minister Northead, Senator Bell, Dr. Darwell, distinguished panel. It was about 3 months ago on Fawcett Lane that I had a son murdered, shot multiple times in the chest. Firstly, I want to just commend the Royal Bahamas Police Force, especially Officer Lloyd, Sergeant Johnson, and Inspector Dames. Those three officers did a tremendous job in working the case and also bringing comfort to my family. I thought that they were the ultimate professional. Just want to quickly say, I think one of the problems with solving crime is from the very casual observer to the most trained social scientist. The observation can be made that there is a correlation between poverty and poor education connected to crime. It's amazing to me that the government has pumped millions of dollars into the College of the Bahamas, where mostly you would find females. But the people who are committing most of the crimes, the hardcore crimes, are our young men who are not dumb. Maybe ill-disciplined, but not dumb. I think some money needs to be pumped into BTVI where they can become skilled. Otherwise, we're looking for them who have no other means of making a living to potentially perpetuate the crime problem. The answer? Pump money into BTVI. Some skills that they need to receive. The second thing is, on the day that the young man was charged for my murder, my son's murder, his lawyer immediately requested bail. It was public knowledge that he was already on bail for 2 other incidents, one of which was gun possession. Now, the courts have to prove whether he's guilty or innocent, so that's in the court's hand. But I think, like has been mentioned numerous amount of times, you cannot give bail to those kinds of people. And if legislation needs to fix that problem, it needs to be fixed. Here's what, Ecclesiastes 8:11 says, if you delay sentencing, evil men will just do more criminal activities. So the judicial system have to take a hold of it. Thirdly and finally, the problem of guns and people killing murdering people is an old-time debate. It is true, guns don't kill people. People kill people. But the question on the table is, how does all of these guns get into the country? And C. Allen Johnson mentioned the power of technology. We have all kinds of canals in Grand Bahama through which boats can come. We have hundreds of tourists who come in their yachts, unpoliced. Every canal should have cameras for those exiting and entering those canals. And we say that the Bahamas does not have a crime problem. It's predominantly Nassau. But when you look at the outskirts, the family islands, I believe they are the gateway for guns coming into the Bahamas. Technology can serve a big role in helping to fix that problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, and I have to apologize for those of you who are now approaching the mics because we have 8 minutes left and we're going to have to wrap up. But we want to hear the response from the Minister of National Security after hearing all of your recommendations and suggestions. So might I invite Minister Nottage to come and give his sort of a response to what he's heard tonight at this point, please.
Good evening. I would just like to thank all of you for firstly attending and for participating. You've had no response from us tonight, except that we've taken note of all of the suggestions that you have made, and I think that I can say with some assurance that you will see many of the suggestions that you've made become part of the actions that we take as we seek to continue to reduce crime. I can show you that from the first forum, there have been a number of matters which have been already instituted. For example, in New Providence, where there was a suggestion made about establishing a Marine outpost in the South Beach area. That was done within 2 weeks of the suggestion being made, and from that day to this, we've had no more illegal immigrants coming into New Providence through that route. In fact, I don't think we've had any boats coming into New Providence since that suggestion was enacted. There was a suggestion about sexual offenses, and we have amended the sexual offense laws. We have established Marco's Law, which was one of the other suggestions that came out of the first forum. So I want you to know that your suggestions are not falling on deaf ears. I heard a number of very important suggestions tonight. One of the ones that was repeated from the first forum had to do with parental responsibility and the enactment of legislation to engage parents or give parents legal responsibility for the conduct or some of the conduct of their underage children. These are all matters which will be receiving our attention. I am very personally impressed by everything that happened here tonight. Everything. Even the persons who some might consider to be disruptive, I don't consider it disruptive. People have problems. This is the place to bring it. They brought it, and we are happy. And all of the suggestions which have been made will be given full consideration. The gentlemen who are with me tonight are the heads of the law enforcement agencies. And I have challenged them that, having sat through the interactions with yourselves and others, that they should be in a position now to report to you how they're going to so order their priorities, their operations, to meet the challenges that for law enforcement that we face. Well, the police force has been first out of the gate, as they usually are, in articulating their 7 general plans to fight crime this year. The other leaders will be expected to do the same within a short period of time. In fact, I've already had a document from the National Intelligence Agency. I heard someone call it tonight the one-man National Intelligence Agency. But that's okay. We take that too. I would like to acknowledge the presence of Honorable Nico Grant, who sat through the whole event. And I'd like to be a fly on the wall when I hear the report that he gives to his leader about this forum tonight. And I'd also like to acknowledge the presence of Senator Tanisha Tynes, who I saw come in the building. I hope she's still here. But thank you. But what I want to do is to thank you for coming, to thank you for contributing, and I look forward, or I hope that you will see a reflection of what you have suggested to us over the course of the next few weeks. Ladies and gentlemen, crime is all of our problem, and all of us need to be on board if we are going to counteract it. I got very depressed a while ago when one of our speakers said that it sounded like we need a whole new generation before we can make any significant reduction in crime. Well, I don't think so. I think that we can do a lot, but it requires a lot from each of us. And I am inviting you to join us in this fight against crime in New Providence, in Grand Bahama, throughout our Commonwealth. I believe that the church has an extremely important role to play. And this afternoon I had the honor of addressing Pastors Forum, made up of a large number of influential persons who have already themselves been developing their own projects in conjunction with others in order to ameliorate the crime problems on the island of Grand Bahama. I hope that we are going to engage them even more as we engage pastors up and down the country. The time is over for us to be fighting about it. The time now is for us to work together. And I'm inviting you to work together with us, and I promise that I certainly need to, want to, and will work together with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. And now we will have closing remarks from the Minister for Grand Bahama, the Honorable Dr. Michael Dalvo.
Thank you so much. Grand Bahama, it has certainly been an awesome night here tonight, and I want to thank you for your participation. I'm certain that the nation is fully aware of our concerns, and your participation will not go in vain. On behalf of the government, everyone from the Ministry of National Security, all of us from the Ministry for Grand Bahama, we appreciate your contributions to coming out on a cold night tonight and to voice your opinions so that we can make the Bahamas a better place. You can rest assured that your comments, your considerations, your concerns will not go on deaf ear, and the Ministry of National Security, in conjunction with the government of the Bahamas, will be taking your concerns very seriously. I would like to take this opportunity to once again congratulate the entire Royal Bahamas Police Force, but particularly the Northern Division, who I believe has done an excellent job for the year 2013. And we have seen from statistics that in some areas there's up to 60% reduction in crime. Please give them a round of applause. Crime is all of our business, and we must work together as a country, as political organizations, to really take a serious bite out of crime. Once again, on behalf of the government and the entire Northern Division of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, our panelists, thank you for coming. God bless you all, and God bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
And ladies and gentlemen, that ends our broadcast. Thank you for coming, and let us continue to pray for the Bahamas and to help make it a better and safer place. Good night.